I'm Benny Politan. Great to have you with us here on Closing Arguments. Big hour ahead of debate. We're going to go at it. We'll bring in the think tank in just a little bit. But first, I want to begin talking about the case of Kouri Richins, who's accused of murdering her husband. Kouri and Eric Richins were married, 3 kids together. You look at these photos, they're smiling, they're goofing around, they're having fun. They look like they are in love. They've got everything. They've got money, a beautiful house, beautiful children. I mean, what on earth could go wrong? Well, Eric died, and prosecutors say that she slipped him 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl inside his Moscow Mule drink that she fixed for him. Unbelievable. Now, let's take a look at the timeline of this case. Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter has more for us tonight.
Kouri Richins, a mom of 3 and a children's book author, faces multiple charges for allegedly poisoning her husband, Eric Richins, inside this home in Utah in March 2022. So what did she tell police happened inside this home they once shared? According to court documents, 33-year-old Kouri Richins told police that on March 3, 2022, she and Eric, her husband of 9 years, were celebrating her closing on a house for her business as a real estate agent. It was around 9 p.m. when Kouri says she made Eric a Moscow Mule and took it to him in their bedroom, and he began to drink it, but she didn't stay in the room with him. According to what Kouri told police, one of the couple's children was having a night terror, so she went to go sleep with him. But she told police she left her cell phone behind in the master bedroom plugged in next to her bed. Court documents reveal, however, that Kouri's phone was active during this time, indicating it was locked and unlocked multiple times, and there was movement recorded on the phone. The phone also shows that messages were sent and received between the time Kouri claimed she went to sleep with one of her children and the time she returned to the bedroom. These messages, however, were deleted. It wasn't until around 3 a.m. the next morning that Kouri says she returned back to the master bedroom inside this home and found her husband, 39-year-old Eric Richins, unresponsive and cold to the touch. She then called 911. First responders arrived about 3:31 a.m. and found Eric dead on the floor at the foot of his bed. Weeks later, autopsy results showed that Eric had approximately 5 times the lethal dosage of illicit fentanyl in his system. And based on the medical examiner's opinion, Eric died from ingesting this overdose orally. Prosecutors could seek the death penalty against Kouri for aggravated murder. She maintains her innocence. Reporting in Francis, Utah, Chanley Painter, Court TV.
So lacing his drink with fentanyl. Now, we all hear fentanyl in the news like every single day and how it's taking lives and is so extremely dangerous. And I remember covering a story, and there are many instances of this, where police officers have become victims of fentanyl when they're going through and discovering evidence. Take a look at this video from the San Diego Police Department.
It's the powder.
It could be cocaine or fentanyl. It tested positive for fentanyl. This stuff's no joke, dude. It's super dangerous. I was like, hey, dude, too close. You can't get that close to it. A couple seconds later, he took some steps back and he collapsed. I ran over to him and I grabbed him, and he was ODing.
I remember just not feeling right, and then I fall back, and I don't remember anything after that.
I mean, it's dangerous. And this is a deputy who is just trying to get some evidence, gets too close to the fentanyl, and he's down. Now, in this case, they're alleging that Kouri Richins is lacing his drink. And I don't know much about fentanyl and what forms it comes in, but how could an officer who's trained get too close to fentanyl and just drop, and Kouri Richins can somehow maybe get fentanyl, crush it up, and do whatever and pour it into a drink and be safe? How does that work? I don't understand. We need an expert to get some insight here. So we've done that. Joining us tonight from Los Angeles, California, healthcare attorney, founder, and managing partner of Nelson Hardiman, a healthcare law firm, and the author of the book, The United States of Opioids, Harry Nelson, joining us tonight. Harry, great to see you. Thank you so much. Explain to me how...
Thanks for having me on, Vinny.
Explain these two situations. We've got a situation where a woman who is not trained in anything is accused of, I guess, crushing up fentanyl. I don't even know what form it would be in, and lacing a Moscow Mule. And she can do that, yet an officer approaches fentanyl and almost dies.
It's a little crazy. Yeah, I mean, in general, you know, a lot of the fentanyl in the United States pills, but the raw form is coming across as sort of granulated grains, and the lethal dose is about 2 milligrams, not very much, probably less than in a packet of you know, sugar that people put in their coffee. So it's crazy that the case of the officer, you know, it's hard to know. A lot of people were afraid that fentanyl might be actually absorbable into the skin, but what we think is going on is that an officer is walking into some kind of cloud, you know, in the search is like stirring up some of these grains, and all it takes is a couple grains to literally have a potentially dangerous amount of fentanyl in your system. Okay,
but you need grains of fentanyl if you're going to lace a Moscow Mule. So how is she able to potentially, and this is the allegation, right? How is she able to do that, yet the officer can't even, you know, approach a vehicle where this fentanyl is?
So it's hard to know the exact context. Look, her job, Kouri Richins, in terms of going out, you can go out in the streets of every American city and with very little trouble find someone who will sell you a little, you know, a little bit of newspaper with some fentanyl put in it. So it's easy to imagine what she did. She went out there and probably for very little money, for even a few bucks, was able to either buy or have someone buy for her a little bit just to put into the Moscow Mule.
In what
the
form?
Case again with the officer.
In what form?
Probably, I'm guessing that a lot of, if you listen, the stories that a lot of addicts tell about the way they're getting it today is, you know, is just literally grains being sold in plastic bags and in newspaper. Just a couple grains selling for a couple bucks. Fentanyl, the reason fentanyl is killing so many people is it's so cheap. But the problem is that, you know, for officers who are handling or breathing in a few grains, it literally, I mean, that's only one of several cases we've had where just tiny amounts of this stuff getting into your system will send you into an overdose.
So do you so in your opinion, do you think it's plausible that a woman, I mean, at the time she's like into realty, she's a mom, she worked at Home Depot, someone like that would be able to safely get some fentanyl and lace a Moscow Mule and not suffer any ill effects? Is that plausible to you?
I can imagine that she was probably taking a lot of care. This crime, if it's true, took obviously a lot of preparation, and it's possible to imagine that she went out there, bought it, handled it with gloves, and was pretty careful about it. Right, about 200 people a day are dying of fentanyl overdoses. So if you think about it, how many people are using it without dying? She was able to sort of plug into all that traffic. And I think she just was a little more careful. I'm frankly surprised we don't hear about more people doing intentional poisoning with fentanyl, given access to it. Absolutely.
Like you're saying, it's cheap, it's very accessible, it's everywhere. Okay, well, I appreciate your insight tonight. And my guess is what the defense is going to do here is say it's not plausible. How could she do that? She, you know, and then maybe even show the same video we showed. I don't know. But Harry Nelson, great to have you on the show tonight. You look like you want to say one more thing.
No, thanks for having me on. It's crazy. I think this case, I worry that she's going to be a model for a lot of people out there.
Yeah, that could be very problematic. Harry Nelson, the book, The United States of Opioids. Appreciate your time tonight.
Thanks, Vinny.
Okay, let's bring in our think tank. Join us tonight, criminal defense attorney Renee Hill. Also with us, national trial attorney Michael Jafer is with us, and trial attorney, former prosecutor Brian Silber. Great to see everyone. All right, Renee Hill. The theory of prosecutors that she's lacing this thing with fentanyl. As soon as I heard that, I was thinking about all these officers who are dropping, I mean, trained They are trained. They know what to do, what not to do. What are your thoughts about the theme here and what potentially happened in the way that Eric Richins was poisoned with fentanyl?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a difficult case for the prosecution. I think it's going to be a battle of the experts here because, as you stated, people are dying regularly from fentanyl, just not even ingesting it, but just being around it. I mean, we have this case right now here in the Bronx where these children were subjected to being in a room where fentanyl was present. A baby died. The others are in critical condition. They didn't ingest it. It was just near them. And so I don't know how they're going to be able to prove that she could lace his drinks without being harmed herself. So that's an upside for the defense and a downside for the prosecution. And I think that they're both going to bring experts in and they're going to have to figure it out from there.
Yeah, Michael, this is a new spot where we're in. I mean, we haven't had a purposeful fentanyl poisoning case yet. This is one of the first ones. Allegedly tossed it in the Moscow Mule of all things. What are your thoughts about how this plays inside a courtroom? Because every juror that walks in there has heard the stories. Many of them have probably seen videos like the one I just showed of a police officer.
I hope the prosecutors, see videos like this, because when I was a public defender a long time ago, fentanyl was not a thing. I don't know much about fentanyl. I was prepared to talk about this case until I saw that video in the beginning of your show and was kind of blown away. I did not know that fentanyl does it. My little sister's a pain management doctor. I've been an attorney for 17 years. I had no idea that fentanyl was that toxic, and that video of the police officer fainting, and he's trained, he actually knows this stuff. He was warned by his partner. That blew my mind. I mean, I'm going to learn a lot by watching this trial because I didn't know that it was that dangerous. I grew up in the era of cocaine and marijuana, and my clients were arrested holding marijuana and a little bit of cocaine. And then near the end of my tenure.
No, I heard your clients had a lot of cocaine. They just got convicted of a little bit of cocaine, but they actually had a lot, Michael. I know, I've read the files on you.
Thank you. But yeah, I'm learning like everybody else about fentanyl, and to be honest with you, it's very dangerous. From what I've seen, it's dangerous.
All right, Mike, Brian, what are your thoughts here on this case, the theory, and ultimately how it plays in front of the jury? Because fentanyl is now day to day. If anyone watches the news or reads anything or picks up, there are going to be stories about fentanyl.
You know, I see it very different from everybody. Everyone's focused on the illicit fentanyl trade, what you get on the street. But the truth is, fentanyl also has a legitimate use. It's used in hospitals. It's used during surgical procedures. And it's not snorted. It's injected. It's put in through an IV. So when I look at this case, I look at our alleged offender, and I don't see a person who has access to the streets. This is a suburban mom. This is a realtor. She's not, going under a bridge to buy some crack rock. Frankly, my first suspicion is that she probably knows a corrupt doctor, someone that writes her scripts, someone that maybe gives her opioids, gives her pills. There's a lot of people that, abuse drugs, but don't get them on the street. They get it from corrupt doctors. So that would be my first clue. That's what I think probably happened.
Yeah, I think prosecutors are going to try to put together a theory that maybe it was the cleaning lady, although the cleaning lady has gotten into trouble.